Hello everyone, got a whole set here. Welcome to the stream. I don't really have a solid plan for this stream. I'm just gonna assign these like fucking million books for all the collector's editions and yeah, answer any questions that people have about the DLC. Nani cardboard cutout. Yeah, sorry that not all of Nani is on screen. How's this? Is that good? So I finally have the full collector's edition. The books just arrived. Here's the book. It's paperback. It's not very long because it is a short story after all. What the inside looks like, I'm gonna sign right here. Another thing that's in these books that's kind of fun is all my concept sketches for Into the Aether. So you get a lot of new concept art. And then the short story. I'm not gonna show too much because I don't want to like spoil the whole story. The box copy of the game. And inside you get this little holographic card. So that's that. Collector's edition. Is there going to be a digital edition of the book? Yeah, the DLC will come with a digital PDF of the book, so you can read it even if you don't get the collector's edition. However, the collector's edition will be getting it early. Oh, and the other thing is I printed a bunch of stickers. Check this out. We've got some brand new, never before released stickers, including Cowgirl. We've got, most of these are previously released stickers. Gronto being evil, Baby Mudrunner, Cubehead, and a couple other ones. But anyway, I'm going to be shoving these stickers randomly into the collector's editions. So you may or may not just receive a sticker. Let's start signing because I have a lot of these books to sign. One book down, 100 to go. Where buy this edition? It's at the link zulubo.com/vertigo2. What's your favorite song from the Vertigo 2's OST? It's a good question. I also like Cyber Joseph a lot. Cyber Joseph's a banger. I think Electric Proletariat, especially the second phase part. I just really like how it turned out. You planning to keep releasing expansions on Vertigo 2 or 3 in the future? No, this is definitely going to be the last one. For real this time. I'm kind of tired of working on Vertigo 2 because I've been doing it for like so long, and I have some other projects that I would really like to work on. I sort of did this collector's edition, or the DLC, by accident. It was initially just going to be this short story, and I was just going to release it digitally. I initially decided I'll do like a new boss fight to help sell the short story, and then I was like, maybe there should be a level before the boss fight. How's the DLC soundtrack going to get released? I'm thinking it'll be like its own album on streaming services, and I will just add it to the Vertigo 2 soundtrack on Steam. So if you've bought the Vertigo 2 soundtrack, you'll get the new tracks. Is there any new weapons coming in the DLC? The trailer only shows 2 weapons already in the game, so I just want to know, unless it's spoilers or something. Yeah, there will be new weapons. I haven't finished making them yet, though, so I didn't put them in the trailer. Also, the grappling hook technically is a weapon because it takes up a weapon slot, but I know you mean actual weapons. There's not going to be a ton of new weapons, though. How many bosses should we expect? I'm thinking like 3 or 4. 2, like, proper bosses, and then maybe a couple mini bosses. Whatever happened to the Hypercross and Automata collective necklaces? Were those limited edition? I can't seem to find them anywhere anymore. Yeah, so unfortunately those, the company that I was using to print those went bankrupt, like just a couple months after I started selling them, so now they're not available anymore. Oh, and somebody said a while ago, is the DLC going to add new stuff for the level editor? Yeah, all the new assets for the DLC will all be available in the level editor. What kind of future projects are you interested in? So I'm working on I'm like a contractor for a couple of other VR companies working on unannounced projects right now, just like helping out with those. And I also have I have like a bunch of games in the early prototype, like early alpha phase. I'm not really sure which one I'm going to finish making next. Oh, I want a fucked up signature. It's cooler that way. Yeah, well, fortunately, my signature is pretty fucked up, like by default, because I just have bad handwriting. Do you guys want to see my signature? Since it takes place right after the campaign, is it going to be locked until story completion? I'm thinking yes, but I might have like a button that lets you skip it, or like, I don't know, because I know some people like might want to play the DLC on a new save slot or whatever, or like will not have their save data anymore, or like any number of things. So there's at least going to be like a console command for like skipping to the DLC. Yippee, more level editor stuff. Also, do you know how long the DLC will be in length? It's kind of hard to say right now because it is not done yet. So I'm not making any promises right now, but my estimate is like 2 to 3 hours. What kind of VR games would you like to see more of? I'd like to see more like experimental VR games. I'm kind of nostalgic for like the early days of VR when everybody was making like weird, fucked up, like experimental projects. That's kind of not what Vertigo 2 is. Vertigo 2 is a very like normal ass game in a lot of ways. How did you create Nani? I just like drew him one day. That's how I create most stuff. I always start with sketches. Any tips for aspiring solo VR developers? The tip I give to any game developer is always start small. Start with a project that you can actually finish, because finishing projects is like the hardest thing. So if you give yourself the goal of like finishing a really small game, you're much more likely to be able to do that and then move on to bigger things with the confidence and knowledge you've gotten from that, rather than starting with a really big game and then like failing to finish that because big games are really hard to make and then feeling discouraged. So find something like really small and simple that you still are actually interested in making, and then make it. Like get it completely done and put it on itch or whatever. Get it polished and play tested and all that. Do you have any non-Vertigo related projects you have that you're wanting to work on? Yeah, I have a few early prototypes of non-Vertigo related projects. One of them I actually showed. I made like an open source version of it. It was this big landscape where you fly around in a spaceship. I was just experimenting with like cloud rendering and grass rendering and terrain rendering and atmosphere rendering, and putting that all together into like a big ass landscape with all of these like dynamic things rendered realistically. I called it Big Land. It is on my GitHub. Or an old version of it is on my GitHub. But I kind of got stuck on that because I was struggling to find out what would be like fun gameplay. Because just like flying a spaceship around a giant empty open world isn't super fun. Is Nani your secret ghostwriter? Nani doesn't speak English very well. I feel like he would struggle with writing. Perhaps an oddly specific question, but have you ever had a dream that either involved or inspired a part of the Vertigo games? You know, weirdly, I haven't really dreamed about like being in Vertigo or like had a dream about Vertigo, which is weird because, you know, I spend so much of my waking hours thinking about it. However, I've told this story many times, but one of the enemies in Vertigo was actually inspired by a dream. The snowman enemy, I had a nightmare and the creature that was trying to kill me was like that. And when I woke up, I was like, holy shit, that was like a weird and kind of cool looking creature. And I found a piece of paper and I drew it like immediately while it was still in my memory. Yeah, I hate those things. Yeah, they're really terrifying. So that's a certified like actual nightmare creation. One thing I never understood is if Sonia is a human and everyone thinks she's an alien, or is she an alien not from Earth? She is a human from an alternate Earth. Will I be lost if I play Into the Aether without playing the second game? Yeah, probably. Having so many physics references in the Vertigo games, did you enjoy science stuff in school, or school in general? Or were you mostly bored and waiting to go home and actually do fun work? Yeah, I've always really loved physics. I kind of struggled in school. I dropped out of college after only one semester, but I still like the subject of physics a lot. I'm not like particularly well educated in physics. You know, I've only taken like a high school physics class, but I do have a lot of interest in the field. It'll be creepy for sure, but you have any jump scares in the DLC? I still don't forgive you for the red handyman. I don't think there's any jump scares, actually. It's more about the creepy ambience. Hey Zach, if there's something you wish you could have done differently in the Vertigo series, what would it be? I would say I wish I had had like a good writer to direct the story from early on, because the story really came together like as the games developed. Like the Void delegation wasn't even like a thing until like I made Vertigo Remastered, just because I felt like there should be a more of an overarching story other than, you know, you're trying to get home. Hi Gianni! I love my my big titty Gianni doll very much. Who's your favorite Vertigo character / creature? I'm very partial to Nani. I'm also very fond of Jojeffs. See, there's so many creatures. There's so many good ones to choose from. How many additional copies of the collector's edition do you plan on adding? I haven't decided how many more I'm gonna print. I was thinking like 200 more just to like try to make sure I don't run out again really quickly. How did you make Officer 13 so hot? I need your secrets. The secret is right there in Twitch chat. Gianni. Did you get Brett to voice act a villager just because he's the Arthur Ford? He actually reached out to me. He asked if he could be in Vertigo 2 because he was like a fan. And I said, hell yeah. And the villagers were just one of the only roles that I had not cast yet, so he got to be the villagers. Gianni says, can't believe he's talented, funny, and cute too. Some guys have it all. Hey look, I can't sit here and hit on you all night, but have fun with the stream. Vertigo rules. So true. And you're totally not just saying that because you're in it, right, Gianni? What is the cover for the Stay Out of the Aether? I don't know. Isn't that like a spoiler? Better read the book and find out, buddy. Brian really went from fucking dying to having the time of his life. I don't know. You don't know if he's gonna have fun or not in this DLC. Probably gonna have some fun. Were you surprised at how fast the physical sold, or were you expecting it? I was a little bit surprised. I was not expecting it to sell out in like 1 or 2 days. But I really didn't know what to expect, again, because I've never sold a physical product before, which is why I went with the pretty low count of just 100 to start. That way I can just do the second batch. Any hope for a Vertigo 3 in the coming years? I don't think so. Especially after this DLC, it pretty much finishes the story. I have other games I want to make. Where'd you get the idea for the whole Autonica Church versus Communist bot war? Because it goes so hard? My buddy in high school came up with that, actually. We thought there should be a city of robots like outside the reactor. And it kind of evolved from there into them having a civil war and them being communists versus church. I need the Nani plushie. Oh yeah, sorry. The Nani plushie is like a handmade one-of-a-kind thing. It was actually given to me as a gift. It was made by someone on Etsy, I think. Yeah, unfortunately, not for sale. Will your other games be as silly as Vertigo 2 or more serious? I don't know. It depends on what game I make next. I have a couple silly ones in the works. I also have a couple serious ones. Do you have any ideas for what comes after Into the Aether? Or you just live in satisfying retirement? No, I'm not going to retire. I'm going to keep making games. What was the ultimate decision to self-publish this one? Self-publishing is fun. I think it's more ethical. Like, I like getting to, you know, do the things myself. I like not having to deal with like a big publisher. Does the DLC have more physics-based gameplay closer to the SLZ games? If you count the grappling hook, then yes. It's not like full bonework style though. Why is Nani behind you? Like he is right there? Oh shit. Came to my house because I left a bad review on Steam. You said the grappling hook would be usable in the main campaign. I wonder if you'll just be able to skip the heart tree? Yeah, you'll be able to skip a lot of stuff with the grappling hook. I think I even mentioned that, the text where I said it's going to be usable in the main campaign. Plan is to have it be a mutator that just gives you the grappling hook all the time. What is your general process for making a Vertigo 2 level from blank scene to nearly finished? I usually start by like sketching out the level layout on paper, and then I start blocking it out in Blender. I drag the Blender scene into Unity. I playtest a little bit. I do a lot of my level design in Blender just because it has really good like modeling tools. I have not had much success with like Pro Builder and Unity's built-in level editors. They feel too clunky. But Blender, my beloved, it's perfect. Will there be motion sickness settings for the grappling hook? I don't know if there's anything I could do for the grappling hook to really make it stomachable for those with motion sickness. Do you think your next game will be VR or like a traditional game? My current game prototypes that I'm working on are mostly not VR. Or I guess some of them are VR. Some of them are VR and non-VR. So, you know, I'll say I have no idea. It's a toss-up. Which boss was the most fun to make, lore/programming wise? Cyber Joseph was pretty fun. I liked making all his different attacks. Yeah, I think Cyber Joseph might be my favorite. Oh, and Joseph Jeffrey, like the first phase of Cyber Joseph, was also really fun. I like making him roll around on his head. Isn't that the song that's playing right now? That's funny. That's Joseph Jeffrey's theme song. Any specific or lore reason why old 60-plus-year-old Unc Brian sounds so young? It's because I had my high school buddy voice him. I started making Vertigo 2 in high school, and it wasn't really like a serious guys, I just autographed this book upside down on the back cover instead of the front. Should I autograph it again on the front? I'm gonna do it again. This one gets 2. What was your decision to make Vertigo 2 so different from Remastered? Well, it's a sequel. You know, if it's the same, why make a sequel? What the heck happened to Brian's eye? All will be revealed. Did you ever make yourself super sick developing the grappling hook? No, I'm pretty much like immune to motion sickness at this point. Are you gonna eat an Into the Aether cake? That's a good idea. I will eat an Into the Aether cake. I will eat, Brian. Zach fucking eats Brian video. I was thinking that you should draw a cube head on one of the books. I'll draw a cube head in this one, sure. Okay, it's a little weird looking. Who is Sonya as a person? Is there any lore behind who she is, or is she just a person that got caught up in the reactor? Yeah, there's no lore behind Sonya. She's whoever you want her to be. She's like Gordon Freeman, except with even less characterization. I was wondering, does the physical box come with a disc or just a key? Would have been neat to have a disc, even if it didn't have the DLC itself on it. Why would I do a disc without the DLC? That's so silly. Yeah, I know, just like having a key is kind of lame, but I try to make it cool and shiny. Would you ever do a giveaway for a free key of the DLC? Yeah, sure. Alright. Would you like to make a multiplayer game at some point in the future? Yeah, that'd be fun. I've never made a multiplayer game. I don't really know anything about networking, so I think it would be a struggle, but I also think it would be really fun. Is that a Switch case? I can see the cart indent. Yes, it is a Switch case. How did you manage the actual cases? Yeah, I found a place that sells like blank Switch cases and bought a lot of them. And will the tools and new weapons be available in the regular game and creation maps? Yes. How long did Into the Aether take to develop? Well, it's still being developed. I started this summer. I don't know, like 4 months so far, and then another 3 months, so like 7 months total. Why did Valve unlist Moondust? It's always been unlisted. It was never supposed to. Oh, that's all the books. Just kidding. I have a whole nother box of books. It is holding up my chair right now. I'll take a little break though. When will Nani get added to Fortnite? What is your favorite song from OG Vertigo soundtrack? Oh, good question. Probably Origins or Abyss. Abyss is pretty good. What is your opinion on game modification? I know some developers seem to strictly forbid it. No, I love game mods. I am totally in support of people modding Vertigo. How did making the Vertigo games affect your life? Well, it basically launched my career as a game developer. It got me my job at Valve. You know, the fact that I had made Vertigo and published Vertigo was basically what made Valve take me seriously. It's let me do game development full time. So yeah, it's very massively affected my life. Have your political thoughts developed in the last couple of years, and would you have constructed anything differently about the church versus robots section if you made it now? That's a great question. Yes, actually, when I started making Vertigo 2 and like started laying out the overall story, I was like a slightly edgy high schooler. I wasn't like right wing. I don't know. I was just like a normal ass like white high school boy. So I was like, oh my god, communism, that's so funny and stupid. Like communism never works. All of these communist robots be like the punchline. But I've become much more leftist over the past couple of years. But yeah, I consider myself a communist now. So I kept the joke funny robot communists in the game because I do think they're funny, and I don't think it's wrong to like make fun of communism even if you are a communist. I don't know if I would have changed that much. Vertigo 2 is mostly a comedy game, so like having silly politics fits right in with the rest of the game. What happened to your finger? I fell out of my desk chair the other day and smashed it. Character development going from irony to becoming the ironic thing. Yeah. Is Into the Aether going to be funny like Vertigo 2? It looks more serious. It's a little bit more serious, but yeah, it's still going to be funny. If you had started working on Vertigo 2 now, would you choose a different engine like Godot or Unreal to develop it instead of Unity? That's a good question. I'm really sick of Unity, but every time I try a different engine, I find it even like not worse in the ways that like Unity is bad, but just like with its own flaws. Like Godot is really not optimized well and would not be good for the kinds of games I want to make with like a lot of fancy graphics and VR and have it like run at a good frame rate. I don't think Godot is like there. It's very hard to customize the rendering pipeline in the way that you can in Unity. You can write simple shaders, but it's pretty hard to do much more than that. And Unreal, man, Unreal is just an extremely bloated, extremely slow. It feels awful to use. I've tried like many times to get into Unreal, and every time I do it, I'm like, why does an empty project cause the editor to run at like 15 FPS? Why is there like a quarter second of input lag when I click any button on the screen? Like that's unacceptable for a game engine. I know I do just need like a more powerful computer, but also it's just like, it's ridiculous. And like blueprints are so weird, and I don't want to make a game with blueprints. But like the C++ API also seems really hard to use. So yeah, I don't know, man. And Unreal's graphics are also so like mushy and so even as awful as Unity is, my point is that it still somehow seems like the best engine for me for what I want to do. Which is awful because Unity is really fucked up and horrible and is being run into the ground, and it just got like 5 times more expensive. Yeah, it is dire. Last I tried to play Vertigo OG 3 Remastered, controls wouldn't work on Index. Does it work for you? Oh yeah, it's weird, but you have to launch the executable from outside of Steam. If you press play in Steam, it like thinks you're playing Vertigo Remastered, and the input doesn't work. So just go to the like install folder and double click the executable. Have you followed much about the port and reception of the PSVR 2 version? I think many people would love you to get more hands-on with the PSVR 2 version. Yeah, I know that there's a bunch of different issues with the PSVR 2 version. I've seen everybody's complaints about it. Unfortunately, there's not really much I can do because that port was completely managed by Perp Games, and I haven't heard anything from Perp Games in like months and months. I don't think they are going to do any more work on it. I don't know. I don't think I can convince them to do more work on it. Hey Zulubo, you ever thought of adding a roguelike kind of mode into the Vertigo 2 engine? That would be cool. Yeah, I actually have brainstormed some stuff about like a roguelike game mode, but unfortunately it never went anywhere. What do you think about the current VR industry, and where do you see it going in the near future? It seems like where it is and where it's going is very firmly towards mobile VR, because of mobile VR being like cheaper, more affordable. And I'm not a huge fan of that. I like PC VR because I like PC games. I like having more power to work with, more being able to render more stuff, simulate more stuff. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of mobile VR is the long and short of it. But I do understand that that's the direction things are going. Okay, I'm gonna pop open this new new box of books. I will be right back. Okay. Is the Steam VR game case for the Into the Aether a custom thing you paid a company to make? Is it associated with Valve? It's a custom thing I made myself. It's actually just a Switch case, and the cover is just, I designed it. It's not associated with Valve. It's original creation. Have you seen the Valve Deckard leaks? Those controllers look insane. I have not been following them very closely. When it comes to Valve, I believe it when Valve actually ships something, because I've seen so many times where Valve is like working on something or stuff leaks and then Valve just like cancels it before it gets released. So I really hope we see another headset from Valve, but I'm not holding my breath. Do you think Vertigo 2 would ever get a Quest 3 port? No, it's probably way too much work. Not worth it. Or, I don't know, it might be worth it monetarily, but I don't want to spend like a year making a good Quest port when I could be making new games. What made you go with the Sapling and Saplord sequence? It's very cool and uncannily funny, but it's weirdly a lot more kid-friendly looking than the ARM security robots and contorted bloody creatures. Yeah, it is a little like more cartoonish than most of the stuff in the game, isn't it? I think it's just because they're like sap creatures, so they're naturally like very round and squishy. I don't remember when I came up with the tree idea, but I was just like, there should be a big tree and you should like fight the tree somehow. And I decided the tree should have like a fruit you're trying to get, and there should be a guardian of the tree, and it should be made of the tree's sap. What are some of the weirdest bugs that happened during development? Were they easy to fix? One of my favorite bugs was one, I actually like posted a video about it. It was like a weapon switching bug where instead of switching weapons, it would equip every weapon at once in a single hand, and you could like shoot all of them too. It was really great. I was always curious if you hired someone for vocals and if you wrote them in Vertigo 2. Yeah, I did. I wrote the vocals and I hired someone to sing them. The singer's name was Leah Capelli. What was the inspiration for having secret weapons, and were there some secret weapons ideas you never put in? I don't know if there was a specific inspiration for the secret weapons. It was more that like I had so many weapon ideas, but a bunch of them didn't fit into like the normal like set of weapons that were going to be in the game. It would have just been ridiculous. Like the finger gun is almost useless, and it would be silly to have it take up a whole normal weapon slot, so I made it a secret weapon. That kind of thing. How many pages long is the book? It is 69 pages. Does the DLC white ball shooting blood looking crab with a spike in its back have a name? Yeah, those things are called flesh golems. And the white ball is actually just a temp asset because I don't have the model for their projectile yet. It's going to be like a tooth or something. I just signed another book upside down. Praying I get an upside down signature right now. Yeah, it's a damn lottery. Odds are not good, I'm sorry to say. You ever thought of streaming developing a game in the future? Yeah, I've done some development streams in the past. Unfortunately, with Vertigo, or with Vertigo 2 and like Into the Aether, there's like lots of spoilers because they're like story games. So it's hard to stream development without spoiling stuff. Will Into the Aether add more achievements? And if so, will they count for the golden BAM? No, I don't think I'm going to add more achievements just because I think it's lame to have achievements like gated behind a DLC. So no new achievements. Anybody got any other like fun ideas for drawings in here? I might do some little special ones because I'm nearing the end of the books. Could you do a fat Nani? Yeah, I can do a fat Nani. Like Nani eating the antimatter capsule. Do you guys remember that? Okay, we got a fat Nani. Looks like a toad. Damn. Draw Jojef standing on a Jojef standing on a Jojef. Yeah, that's a good idea. Is the DLC gonna play like Brian's playstyle in the main game? It's not gonna have the same ammo pickups, but it will, I think it'll have slightly faster movement. I'm locked in. I'm drawing a Jojef standing on a Jojef standing on a Jojef. Wait, I just realized the soundtrack stopped playing. I think it finished. Let me start it up again. Does the grappling gun dude from the trailer have a name? No, he does not. Why do most Vertigo 2 creatures have such nice asses? Because asses are funny. It's funny butt. What's some of your personal favorite games outside of VR? I don't know what my like overall favorites are. Recently I've been playing lots of UFO 50. How would I cook and prepare a gremlin? I don't know. They're so skinny. I feel like there's not much good meat on there. Are you aware that 13 having his legs chomped looks a lot like Adam from Budget Cuts 2 having his legs severed? No, I was not aware. I have not played Budget Cuts 2. I gotta play that, man. There's so many games I gotta play. Will the DLC contain either fire and or holes? Yes to both. Is the DLC the ending to the Vertigo franchise / finishing up the story? Yeah, for the foreseeable future. Which is also what I said about Vertigo 2, I know, but I actually want to make something other than Vertigo now. Is the OST all MIDI, or did you record some instruments? If so, what were they? Yeah, it's all MIDI. I'm not very good at playing any instruments in real life. How long did it take you to perfect Nani's voice? Yeah, I spent a long time getting Nani's voice. Originally, he was going to be voiced by Errol, my buddy who did lots of concept art, and he was doing a great job voicing it, but he like hated voice acting, and he said he just didn't want to do it anymore. So I had to find a new voice actor, and I ended up getting Tyler McVicker, who was really into it and did a great job. Have you played Bone Lab? Someone modded most of the Vertigo 2 weapons and characters in, as well as a pilotable version of Brian's helicopter thing. And it works with multiplayer, and it's awesome. That is awesome. I've played a little bit of Bone Lab, but not much modding. But yeah, that's so cool. I love seeing people like doing ports. Somebody was porting a bunch of the maps from Vertigo 2, and they looked awesome. They were using like decompiled maps, so they were like perfectly accurate. All the shaders and stuff as well. This is the last book, by the way. I feel like I should do something special for this one. What should I draw on this one? Did you make a profit for Vertigo 2? Seems hard to in the VR industry. Yeah, so I definitely made a profit, but that's because I have like no operating costs. Since I'm a one-man studio, I don't have to like pay anyone's salaries. I don't have to pay for very much at all, except for like keeping myself alive and like equipment and stuff. So I definitely made a profit, but I know it's hard to. It's hard in indie games in general. Scrape a piece off your index and tape it into the book. I haven't told anybody about this, but the other day I stepped on my index and snapped the damn right headphone speaker off. Thank God the wires were still connected, so I like duct taped it back on and it works fine, but I felt so bad. Baby Frank. Baby Frank is good. I'll draw a little Baby Frank. Okay, I drew a Baby Frank. I'll draw a Mudrunner. Man, I forget how many eyes Mudrunners have. This is a bad picture of a Mudrunner. I feel like forgotten what they look like. This is a really bad... Oh my god, this is so embarrassing. I was just looking at the stickers like a second ago. Yeah, this thing looks evil. Is the DLC canon? Yes. Oh, here, do you guys want to see the... Do you think Half-Life Alyx plays it too safe in terms of gameplay? Yeah, very much so. They could have done so much more fun stuff. Can you do a backflip? No. I can on a trampoline. Draw Mudrunner, but the ones that look like worms? Oh, so true, actually. The baby Mudrunners are so cute. I'll draw a baby Mudrunner. Is the Nani poster as tall as you? I think it's like 4 feet tall. I am not 4 feet tall. Have you ever talked about why you chose the name Vertigo? Yeah, so Vertigo was originally like a very small, simple demo for the like original HTC Vive, where you were on a little bridge above a bottomless pit, and there were like drones flying out of the pit that you shot with a little gun. It was like a wave shooter, basically. It was called Vertigo because you're standing above a big pit. You got vertigo. And then I just kept adding more and more stuff to the game, but it remained being called Vertigo. I think I'm gonna wrap up the stream soon because I have finished signing all these books. What are your thoughts on the phrase Vertigo to the polls? My thoughts are, I think you guys did not Vertigo to the polls hard enough, and that's why Trump won. Or maybe it's my fault for not tweeting Vertigo to the polls. What do Joe Jeff's Quantum Juice Handymen and Saplings taste like? Joe Jeff's taste like probably human flesh. Quantum Juice tastes like delicious orange soda. Handymen taste like human flesh. And Saplings taste like sap, because they're made of sap. By the way, if Maurice from Ultrakill was shown in the game, then Vertigo 2 is in the same universe as Ultrakill, or is it just an Easter egg? Yeah, it's just an Easter egg, not in the same universe. We love you, Zach Zulubo, Mr. Zulubo. Love you too, Bonfire. One final important question. Will Into the Aether be a separate game or DLC? It'll be a DLC. That was a great talk, thank you. Yeah, I'm happy I could, like, answer your guys' questions. Goodbye, gamers.